So here we are again, week 9, in lockdown for my midweek Chinese takeaway cook along. Tonight we're listening to the Carpenters. Carpenters was one of those one of those albums actually that my mum and dad played religiously in the restaurant. So anyways, a certain soundtrack that, especially when I was writing the Chinese takeaway cookbook, that I listened to, and the Carpenters was one of them. And then this other chap, I can't remember his name. I don't know why I can't remember his name, because I like him. But anyways, and yeah, it kind of like evoked hundreds and hundreds of memories that I had working in the restaurants and stuff. So tonight's dish, we're cooking a Thai king prawn pad Thai. Rice noodles being one of those. Now, I've pre-soaked these, so they look like this when you buy them in the packet. They're only about £1.50, £2 a bag. And there's quite a lot in there. That's about, I don't know, a third of a packet. And all I've done is I boiled some water in the kettle, put it into a big bowl, put in about a third of the packet, and I just let the noodles soak for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I drained them off. I did this earlier because when I'm frying this, I wanted them to be quite dry, so they're soft but they're not wet. Okay, now the other ingredients that we're going to need tonight, we've got some tofu. There's about 200 grams of firm tofu. Again, I did my little trick, and this was frozen. I defrosted it last night, and then I just squeezed out the excess water. I've got a small bowl of king prawns. Very sad Gotland tonight. I thought I had more king prawns. Half an onion. Now, the onion in this dish, in this particular dish, is used more as a flavouring or enhancer, and we're going to fry the onions off with the tofu first, so they go caramelised. Okay, not looking at trying to have big chunks of onion within this dish. Spring onion. Now, again, I'm going to put my spring onions in at the very beginning, along with the onions and the tofu, because I like my spring onions cooked rather than raw. If you wanted to hold some of this back, you can do as a garnish. There are 3 spring onions in here, which all I've done, I've cleaned, I've halved, and then I've shredded. There's 2 eggs. Again, the Chinese love their eggs in dishes. So there are 2 eggs whisked, okay, so they're ready to go. I've got a small bowl of water, which I won't probably use all of this. Now this is just to help get the noodles to soften in the pan as I'm frying them. So I'm just going to add splashes of water here and there just to help the rice noodles. I've got some lime, which I'm going to use as a garnish. You can get all of this, I mean all of it as well, from your local Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Waitrose. So this dish, even though, maybe not the fish sauce, but we'll talk about that in a second. So that's why I put the pickled radish, spring onions back on the shelf, and that's the only reason. I've got some bean sprouts. Now for seasoning, we're going to use the fish sauce. If you don't have the fish sauce, you can use salt. But now fish sauce is smelly, it's salty, it's pungent. I suppose the best way of describing this is if you know someone who plays sports and they haven't washed their socks for a little while. That's what fish sauce smells like. Again, in all Asian cuisine, it's all about balancing the saltiness, the sweetness, the heat from the chili, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Chili powder, normally served at the very, very end, and a little sprinkle, and you can just obviously put it in, put it over the dish after it's been cooked. I'm actually going to cook out the chili because I want that background heat in the entire dish. So again, when you get recipes or you play with different dishes, it's up to you to adapt them for your taste buds. I've got a nice big non-stick wok. Rice noodles are renowned for being quite sticky. On goes my cooker. And again, because this is non-stick, and I can add the oil now, okay? If you're using an Ethertons or a carbon steel or a steel wok with that natural patina that's built up in it, don't put the oil in until the wok is smoking, okay? So now I'm gonna add, because I'm gonna fry off the onions, spring onions, and the tofu. The tofu likes oil. So I'm going to have to put in maybe a little bit more than I would normally. So I'm going to put in about 2, maybe even 3 tablespoons. Now this is going to be enough food for 2 people, so it's not actually that bad really. So there's about a tablespoon in there. There's 2, and there's 3. And we'll just let that get hot. And I'm getting a bit of heat in there now. So this is half an onion. You can use red or white, it's up to you. I had a white one, so I'm using a white one. And I'm just going to add this to my pan. And let that take on some colour. Now, actually, I'm going to add the spring onions first. So I'm going to add my spring onions now. Now, by adding the spring onions, what it's going to do is going to get that aromatic smell, scent, flavour right throughout that oil. So in go my spring onions. And now I'm going to add my tofu. Now I'm going to fry this long enough that I'm going to try and gain or get a little bit of colour on my tofu. And again, this is just frozen. It's a firm tofu. I froze it, defrosted it and squeezed out all of the excess water and then just chopped it into bite-sized pieces. Okay, so the tofu has now got some nice brown colour. Onions are nicely caramelised, as is the spring onions. I'm now going to add my king prawns. If you have decided to add chicken or beef or pork at this is when you're going to add this in now, okay? Obviously, just make sure that it's cooked through before you start adding any other ingredients. So the prawns now are just turning a nice pink colour. I'm just going to flip them over so both sides have got that pink colour. And they're looking lovely. The tofu's taken on a really nice colour now. At this point, I'm going to take my noodles. Now you notice I'm just separating them out. So they are going to stick together ever so slightly. So those onions are looking fantastic now. Now they've gone crispy. So you know when you go to these pub chains and you get the crispy onions that you put on top of your salad, that's what I've got going on in here now. So straight away we're talking about textures. The rice noodles are going to be soft, they're going to be chewy, they're going to be stringy. The bean sprouts are going to be crunchy. The king prawns are going to be juicy. The tofu is going to be crispy, soft and juicy. We're going to put some egg in a bit, which is again going to change the flavour. And then by the time we've tweaked out the saltiness, the sugar and the chilli, we've got like this mouth sensation going on. And this is the beauty, and this is what Chinese food is all about, or this is what Asian food is all about. Okay, so now I'm going to add a tiny splash, and I do mean tiny, so let's just say, what's that? A tablespoon of water's gone in there. And straight away what happens is it softens my noodles. And I'm going to add another tablespoon. Now I can start adding the other stuff. So this dish, because I'm not using salt, I'm going to add about, we'll start off with 1.5 tablespoons of this pungent fishy sauce. So there's the saltiness and that pungent flavour going straight into this. I'm now going to add about 1/4 teaspoon, maybe 1/2 teaspoon of chilli powder and sugar. I'm going to start off with about a level, well, this isn't quite a tablespoon, this is a spoon that you would use for eating dinner with. So what's that? That's about probably just under a tablespoon of sugar I'm going to start with before I decide whether I'm going to add any more. The sugar is going to help balance that pungent and that saltiness and the heat as well. That was hotter than I thought. No more seasoning required at all. I know I've got bean sprouts to go in, but we are going to finish the dish with some lime as well. So, in go my bean sprouts. So there's a good handful that are going in, and I'm just going to cook these long enough just to soften. Okay, lovely. Okay, so bean sprouts, king prawns and everything's all nicely cooked now. The last thing to do, I'm just going to create a big well in the centre of my wok. And I'm going to pour in my egg. Now I'm not going to stir too quickly because I want the egg to set a little. So that egg has literally just been poured into the centre. So I've got all the noodles and I've opened them out and I've left a well in the middle like that. And I've just poured the egg into that well. So I just want this egg to set. So I'm creating a scrambled egg in the middle. My egg is now set. I'm just going to mix this in to the rest of the ingredients. Just give it one final toss over. I'm going to take my bowl, get rid of my fish sauce, switch the heat off, I'll get some king prawns on the top, and I'm just going to turn out this pad thai straight onto here. Obviously, if you've got some fresh spring onions, give it a garnish of spring onions, a little bit of lime, which we're going to squeeze over in a minute when we start to eat. The lime offers that citrus sort of like acidity, just to break through sort of like some of the oils and sort of like the other flavorings that we've got in there. Okay, so there we have it, a one pot wonder done in, what's that, 20 minutes from start to finish, and that's with me waffling on as well. My king prawn and tofu pad thai cooked for you in lockdown. Hope you give it a go. If you have given it a go, I hope you enjoy your dinner tonight, and I shall see you next Wednesday at 12 o'clock for the next cook along. Until then, guys, have a fantastic week, and yeah, stay safe. And I'm just going to come round now and show you what the dish looks like on the other side, okay? So there you go, guys. There's the dish.